a huge reality, but I like
It's
all
bad.
the sitcoms.
It's
I like
trash.
all the comedy sitcoms that you're just like, really?
Yeah.
But he has a birthday. It's his 29th birthday, and at one point he's just like, 29.
Okay. This
29. And I'm like, I have to have like the whole episode was his birthday party, and like the whole I'm like,
I love that.
I have to have my 29th birthday will be
Look at how I'm living. Just look at how I'm living.
Hey guys, welcome back. It's Courtney this time. Dylan is not present, but this is going to be a fun one because I got somebody special who is one of my good friends, I feel like, and somebody who is extremely talented in the wedding industry. This is episode 9 with Megan.
Woohoo!
Hey,
I'm
Megan.
so happy to be here. I'm so excited.
Your first ever podcast.
first ever podcast. This is
We're breaking your virginity on this.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm
my
so
gosh.
excited.
So Megan, tell me a little bit about who you are. What's your business name?
So my name is Megan. My business name is Events by Megan LLC.
Yes.
I became a licensed LLC in November of 21.
Yes.
I started a Facebook page after I was laid off from COVID. So I started a Facebook page in March or April of 2021, not really expecting to book a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
because COVID was happening. But I was lucky enough to work 3 weddings at the very end of 2021 when things kind of opened back up. And then last year I worked 15 weddings. So
Round
I'm
of
from-
applause, girly.
Thank you. I went
Which
from
one of
3 to
those
15.
weddings we worked together?
Yes. I have. So you were actually one of the very first people that I started following
Oh my
when I
gosh.
created my business account, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go in and I'm going to find people that I want to work with, and then I'm
I
going to
love
follow them,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to comment on their things. I'm going to like their things so that when I work with them, when I get the opportunity to work with them, or if I have a client that I feel like would be great, vibe and style that I can pair with, I can be like, hey,
Yeah.
I've been following you for a while, and kind of create that connection before I actually meet you in person to create that connection. And you were one of the very first people I followed.
Really?
I loved that you and Dylan were a husband and wife duo.
Oh my
That
God.
was huge for me
Yes.
because eventually when I go full time, I plan to go full time by May of next year. That's
I will
kind of my
be-
goal.
You got this, girl.
And
You
then
got
from,
this.
I know I'm putting it out there now.
Manifest
so
it,
I'm
baby.
manifesting
Manifest
it. It's
it.
out there. People are going to hear it.
And you have people like me just to help you grow. Let's do this together.
So hopefully once I go full time, I'll be full time for a couple years. And then eventually I hope to grow so much that my husband would actually come and work for me. We
love that.
met, this is a funny story. We met in college. We were the same major.
What were you studying?
Entertainment management. So with entertainment management,
Okay.
you had 4 areas that you could go into. You could go into venue management, event management, sports management, or music management. So concerts, producing things,
fun.
all of that.
So your degree is kind of what you do now for a
Yes.
living in a sense.
Yes, kind of. Yes.
Yes.
So a lot of the classes that I took were actually from event professionals who, when they decided they just didn't want to have the hours of being an event professional, they got into teaching. So a lot of my professors weren't just teachers who became professors. They were professionals who became professors and were able to teach us real life experience and real life things, which was really awesome. I loved the classes that I took, and we actually took the same classes every semester, but there was always 2 times. We always had the opposite time for all 4 years,
Really?
all of our classes.
So you guys met in college though, right?
We met in
Okay.
college because my best friend who I lived with was dating his best friend who he lived with. And so I dropped her off one night and they're like, come on in, because we had Taco Bell.
course.
Taco Bell is what you eat down
Yeah.
in Missouri State. And so I walked in and ate Taco Bell with them, and I am a very picky eater. All of my friends know that. And I have always told my family growing up that I will marry somebody who's more picky than me. It was a
Oh.
big thing.
Okay.
Because I'm so picky. I'm like, this isn't bad.
So would
wait.
you get sushi?
I do now, but like
Oh,
I do now,
really?
but only like the cooked rolls, like the
deep
shrimp
fried-
tempura, the California, like
the really basic
Philly,
ones, the
very
ones that you can
basic-
eat when
yes,
you're pregnant.
Yes, yes, those are the ones that
Yeah.
I like, and if they're fried, it's an extra bonus.
Oh God, I cannot do the fried. I love you, but I cannot do it.
They're so good, but
Philly rolls are good.
I order all of my tacos without lettuce from Taco Bell.
Fair.
It's just like a thing.
'Cause
I
their
just don't
lettuce
like
is
their
probably
lettuce,
garbage
yeah.
anyways.
And I always get made fun of that though. It's like a thing that everybody always laughs at me when
Really?
I'm like, oh, they don't have lettuce on them. They're like, you're so weird. And I pulled out tacos because I had extra tacos. I was like, don't make fun of me. I don't know you, but I have extra tacos without lettuce if you want them. And he like smiled and he like looked at my best friend. Her name's Sarah. Her boyfriend, who's now they're married. They're husband and
Oh, I
wife. His
love
name is
that.
Josh. They like looked at each other and they like shared a moment and like I didn't really understand what was going on. And like Tommy, who's now my husband, he
Yeah.
like looked at me with like a little grin and he was like, I don't like lettuce on my tacos either. And so then for like 20 minutes we just started talking about food. Like, do you eat this? Do you eat that? And it was like I was like after that conversation, I was like, you're my person. Like I knew it. Like
That
I
is
knew
so.
it.
So my question is, when you guys got engaged, or like when you guys got married, or photos or anything, the photographer and me, did you guys have anything to do with Taco Bell?
We taught almost every speech. Taco Bell was talked about in every
Love
single
that.
speech, but no, we didn't. We thought
Sponsor
about
us,
it.
Taco Bell.
I know, right? We were gonna have Taco Bell tacos as our
Question
late
is,
night.
what did you have for lunch today before you came over?
I did not have Taco Bell.
Okay.
I had Freddy's. I was in the mood for a
okay,
burger
okay,
today.
that's fair.
And Freddy's has really good burgers and French fries. I can't get French fries from Taco Bell.
I love you for that, but I'm not a Freddy's
See,
French
I
fry.
love their
I am a
fries.
good like classic McDonald's fry.
See, Freddy's fries
Yeah.
are good if you have their seasoning on them. Like if you ask for
Fair.
their like fry seasoning packet, they taste almost. I mean, they're like identical to the Steak and Shake fries.
Yeah, they
And
are.
I
and
love
that's why I
those.
don't like them because they're so
Oh,
thin.
see,
and I feel like
I can eat so many
that's-
more at one time.
Yeah, well, that's fair. That is valid. That is valid.
Fries are like a top food. I could like
Yeah.
be sick and not hungry, but if you bring me fries, I will
love
1,000% eat them.
I'm a queso
Every time.
girl.
Every time. My husband's like, "Are you sure you need that many fries?"
You're
And
like,
I'm
yes, this is why this
I'm
is
gonna
my
eat
food.
all mine, and I'm gonna eat whatever you don't eat. Because he'll be like, I'll just have a few
Yeah.
of yours. Like our roles are reversed. Like everybody always talks about how like when your girl says that they're not hungry, so you don't order, always
Yes.
order them something so they don't
Right.
eat your food. That's literally him. He'll be, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna stop. Do you want anything? No, I don't want anything. And I'm like, I know you're gonna eat some of my fries, and like I want all of them. Like I don't want
Yeah.
to give up 20 fries.
Right.
I'm selfish
You're like,
about
these
my
are my
fries.
fries.
They're mine.
Don't touch them.
Yes.
Don't even taste touch. These
So
are mine, baby.
I'll always order him an extra set because we also
Yeah.
have an air fryer. So if we don't eat them, I just pop them in the air fryer the next day. And they're
Yes.
Good as new.
We just got a new air fryer. We're totally off subject, but this is how our podcast is anyways. But we just got an air fryer because our other one like broke, and we just got the brand new like Ninja like double one, and that thing is like the cat's meow.
That's what we have.
I love it. Like we could put like chicken
Oh,
in one and then
wait.
fries in the other, like splits.
I don't have the double, and I've been telling Tom for a while. I said when this one goes out, we're gonna get one. So
Yes.
because I always want chicken tenders or like chicken nuggets and fries at the same
Yes,
time, and I'm like,
for sure.
"Oh,
It's so
you have to wait.
and it just bypasses the whole like
Oh my
waiting
gosh,
on
I
the
love
oven, and
that.
it's like gets your fries get
Could
so
you have
soggy.
two different temps?
Yeah, that's what's really cool. Dylan had to teach it to me like
You're
a week
selling me.
ago because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I burnt May, like my daughter May, you know her, but I like burnt like all of her chicken nuggets. I'm like, what did I do? And he's like, you had the wrong setting. Your fries were on this one. I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, whoops.
So, but it's really awesome. I mean, it's great with having a kid too because it's like they're so picky with eating.
Mm-hmm.
So picky eater, you might love having the double because then you could just put whatever.
That is very nice.
So we're gonna backtrack.
I know, backtrack
because
it.
like here we are. So you go to college. You get this. Did you graduate? Did you get the
I
degree?
did. So I
Okay.
actually went for advertising and marketing. That's what I wanted to do.
which
And
will help you now.
which definitely helps
Yeah.
me now. I was very involved. I was always on probably 2 to 3 executive boards just between
Wow.
everything that I loved being involved. I love having things to do, but I found myself
Busy brain.
Yes, every single time
What
I
month
did
were you
something.
born?
February.
Ooh, I don't know what your sign.
The fish, I think. What's that
The
one?
fish.
The Pisces. Is that what it is?
Somebody's
The
gonna
fish?
comment and be like, Meh.
I know.
I'm an Aries, so I'm a very like fire and like basically if you look at what an Aries is, they are their own boss. They
Oh,
like
I
to make their
love
own, like,
that.
they like to make their own decisions and stuff like that. And it really sums up who I am. So
Oh, I need to look into
Yeah.
what
But
Pisces
you're-
is.
I'm
I
like
need to
a big-
look into
I-
what it is.
I want to be better at it, but I'm like a big like sign person. Like I love
That's really
signs.
cool. I
Yeah.
love that. I have
Yeah.
a lot of friends who are very into their sign.
Mhm.
I've never really been one of those people.
Yeah.
But when they like talk to me about things, I'm like, that is so accurate.
Isn't
Like, it
it
is
scary?
so
It's so crazy.
accurate.
So you graduate college.
Graduate
and then-
college. So I started working at a country club in 2017, at the end of 2017.
You know, I'm wondering, did I meet you at this country club? I feel like I met you working.
we
a
may
wedding.
have.
I'm getting like deja vu.
I was there. So I actually was hired on as a server, and I told them when I was hired on as a server that I have experience in events. That's what I want to do. I said I've already graduated. I was just trying to like find a job to get me into the
Yeah.
niche of what I wanted to be in. And within 3 months, they moved me up to a management position. Woohoo! And so I was planning all of their social events that came into the club. So they had a wedding coordinator, they had a corporate coordinator, and then everything else kind of funneled in through me. However, I didn't necessarily plan the wedding and the corporate events, but I was one of the people that was on site working each of those events. I did all of the setup for both of those coordinators. So I worked
Yeah.
hand in hand with them on their setups, their timelines, tear downs, like room resets. I was in charge of all of that. I was essentially the venue coordinator. And so once the dance floor essentially kind of kicked off, that's when their planner would leave, and I would kind of step in, and anything else that they would need for essentially the rest of the night, they would come find me.
Okay.
But I always wanted to work events, but I always told myself I wasn't going to work weddings because all the movies portray bridezillas and this and that. And I was like, you know what? I do not do well with confrontation. So maybe that's not like the best for me. And then I started working weddings every single Saturday, sometimes Fridays and Saturdays, or Saturdays and Sundays. And I fell in love. I mean, head over heels in love. I was taking mental notes of like, okay, I'm going to do this for my wedding, or maybe I don't like this, or I'm going to do that, but I'm going to like switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so before, I also have never been the person to like plan my wedding and like what it would look like. But once I started working there, I mean, my timeline for my wedding was already done before like we even got close to getting engaged. I was like, I already know what I want it to look like. I know everything.
Yeah.
I love it. And so fast forward, my grandma got pretty sick, just declining health. And so I was working probably like 45, 50, like peak holiday weekends, maybe close to 60 hours
Yeah.
a week. And so it just wasn't feasible. I wanted time with her. And so I left the country club and went to go work for a bowling corporation here, Bolero. They were awesome to work for. It was
Oh yeah, that
event-
used to be back in the day when I was in
Yes.
high school. It used to be called
Brunswick.
Brunswick.
And
Yes.
so it was so fun. They actually flew me out to New York for 10 days to do their training. And so I learned from like the top dogs in the company. It was really cool. We got to go like tour and have like a fun night like at one of the New York City locations. I mean, it was
I
so
love
cool.
that.
My hotel was literally a less than a block away from Times Square. I mean,
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
so much fun. I loved the team that I worked with. It's just when COVID hit, you know, they obviously had to cut down a little bit, and I was the
Right.
last one in the office, so I was the first one out. But I took that as a blessing in disguise. You know, I had found another job within 2 weeks of being laid off, which was a blessing.
Huge
because
blessing.
it was COVID, and I wasn't in the event industry, but it was what I needed to do to
You need to
be
make that
able-
cash,
Yeah,
girl.
you have
Yeah.
to get a paycheck, and so I was there for probably a year. Honestly, I was there up until when I got married. My last day there was the week before we got married.
That's kind of nice though.
And so I had worked a few weddings while I had worked there.
Did you have your LLC then?
I did not, no.
Okay.
And so I got married in May of 21. And then I became a licensed LLC in November of 21. And then this past year so far, I have done my first branding shoot with you guys, which was absolutely
So fun.
incredible. I had so much
So
fun planning
fun.
that. It is so fun
Yes.
being your own client and being like,
Yes.
okay, I'm going to pull things that I like from all of these different, you know, tablescapes, and I'm going to like throw it all on one table and make it cohesive, and I'm going to love it. And so that was so much fun.
It was so fun doing your branding
Yes,
shoot.
it
I
was so
loved it.
fun.
I'm a huge like people ask me, they're like, what else do you specialize in? And I always say like weddings are number one, because like I love weddings, hence why we have 2 other businesses that are wedding related, because weddings bring me joy and help with my sanity, honestly.
Same.
You know, the older I get, like I just want to keep doing weddings and then cater to my clients that were my wedding clients. But on top of that, like I really love branding, but I don't think people know that we do branding, because they look at our Instagram and our
weddings.
Facebook and they literally see like just weddings. So when you say branding, I love it. So tell me, how did it go with like telling I'm guessing your husband at the time that, hey, this is what I want to do full time?
So he's actually been honestly my number one supporter. Like I was sitting on the couch for probably 2 weeks, like moping, because it wasn't that I didn't have a job. It was just that I wasn't planning things. Like I loved planning things. The corporation Bolero that I worked for, I absolutely love them. And I had like the client communication. I had all of that contact. I was planning things, and then it all just kind of went away. And so he was like, why don't you just, I don't know, like create a Facebook page or something? And I was like, well, I don't really know how that's all going to work out. And he was like, well, if you don't do it, like you're not going to know. And I was like,
that.
You're right. And so I created a Facebook page. And I told him like, okay, I did it. And he was like, there you go. And, I had my first wedding at the end of, towards the end of the year. And I was not nervous. That's not I was excited. I had like the
Adrenaline.
jitters. Yes. I was like, babe, I'm working my first wedding.
It's huge.
It was really big.
You are nervous though.
It is. It was a little nervous.
When you do your first ever.
Technically, my first ever wedding on my own was for very good friends of mine. We went to college together.
That can be good, but it can also be bad.
Yeah, yes and no. We were guests at their wedding, but I wasn't in their wedding party, so it wasn't too much by any means. But they reached out to me and they're like, they also got married on leap year, which I think was so
fun.
stinking cute. And so they were like, would you help us? Because essentially what they wanted me to do was day of coronation, and that's what I was doing at the country club. And I was like, I mean, I'm not with a company. Like it's just me.
It's
like
you.
if you're okay with that, then yeah, absolutely. And they were like, yeah, we love you. Go ahead. And I coordinated that wedding. We helped with the timeline. We went over all the details. We did all of these things. And there was a few issues, like a few of the times, from the DJing things were like a little off on the day of. So
timing is never.
I fixed little things like that arised. And I was still able to have so much fun and dance and be a guest at the same time. And it was awesome. And so that was actually, when was the last leap year? Like 2018, 2019? I think 2019.
I think 2019, because that's the year that we had May.
So that was technically my first wedding. I was not Events by Megan at that time. That was still 2 years before I even created a Facebook page. But that was my husband. He's like, well, you did Connor and Claire's. I was like, you're right. Like technically that was me.
Once you get one, and I tell this to all the photographers that are newer too, once you get one, you're going to get more. It's like a tumbleweed effect. Mm-hmm. You just have to keep pushing and doing your best, and it's going to be a trial and error, So
I actually reached out by the end of working at the country club. I had become so close with some of the families that were there, because I also helped with dinner service, all of that goodness on the member side as well. And so they requested that I was their planner as well. So they're like, we want Megan, to do everything with us. And the club was oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like you guys have that connection. We're so happy for you. And so by the end of working at the country club, I had planned 3 of the members' daughters' weddings, which is really cool. So I had reached out to all 3 of those ladies, as well as my friend Claire, when I kind of created my Facebook page. And I was like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm not really sure where it's going to take off. I have absolutely nothing, because I didn't think to take pictures of anything at the time, because that's not what I was doing. And so I was like, if you don't mind, can you send me pictures, any wedding pictures, non-wedding pictures? I'm like, anything.
Right.
I already know who your photographers are. I'll post, are you okay if I post things and make posts just to show people that I've done it before? And they were so supportive, and they still and comment on all of my stuff. They're like, congratulations, Megan. And they share it every once in a while. So it's just really, I don't know, bittersweet. It's not bittersweet. That's not the right word, but
no, it is
coming full circle. It's just so cool. It's amazing. You actually had posted something. I think it was you that had posted something on Instagram that was like a thank you to all my clients.
Oh
for
yeah, I
like,
did that. Yeah,
I
for the
mean-
ones that keep coming back and the ones that
Yes.
keep referring. It is such a big impact in a business when you have those like clients that have been with you for years. I
It is
have
nice.
I call her my OG. Shout out to Lex. She knows who she is. I just got done doing her pictures. With her baby girl, she had her third baby, but she has been with me from pretty much the very beginning.
That's
So we started
amazing.
with her sisters.
Wait,
so it was
Lexi Calhoun.
yeah.
I went to. That's honestly how I found you. It's
Really?
from Lexi. I was.
my
We're
gosh.
Delta Zetas.
Oh
We're
my
sorority
gosh,
sisters.
What a small! I love her.
You did
She's
her
like
wedding
my
too.
sister. Well, yeah. So it was really, really crazy. So like it went from her and Cassie. I can never say her. She's gonna laugh at that. Cassie. It went from her and Cassie, and then Lex got engaged, and then I did her engagement. She got married at Stonehouse, and then after her engagement, obviously her wedding,
Mm-hmm.
and then she had baby boy first, and then I can't remember, did Cassie get, I think Cassie got engaged in between both of the boys, and then Cassie got engaged, and then Cassie wanted me to do her wedding in Florida, but she ended up, long story short, she ended up going to Florida and like basically like eloping,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm getting ready like next month to do her like 1 year anniversary. And now Lexi just had baby number 3.
I know.
So
Isn't
like
that so
all
exciting?
these years, like, so those are the clients, and I have a handful of those clients that have been with me from like the very beginning and that only will choose me. And those are the clients that I really truly value. The ones that come back, the ones that refer me. And there are clients out there that obviously I can't serve because my schedule is too busy, and sometimes they're just not good at scheduling. But it's still okay because I see them, you know, I see them, and that's why it's so important to value those clients that do come back. And it's truly,
It's really
honoring.
awesome.
Word of mouth is so big in this industry, and it's inspiring.
I would say word of mouth is huge for me. Even if they reach out to me from
Is that
the
where
knot,
most of your clients come from?
I would say honestly, yes. I still get a ton of leads that come through the Knot and the Wedding Wire, but most of those people have told me that they found me there because they know so and so, and I worked this wedding, or they were a guest. I get this a lot where they were a guest at so and so's wedding, and they saw me working in action, and so they asked the bride when it came time to hiring a planner or hiring a month of coordinator, who was your gal.
That's what you just said right there. And it's so, I tell people that have like a bad day, like if whether it's the photographer or whether it's like the DJ, I'm like, leave your shit behind. Because I'm like, here's the thing, this room full of people, your next bride might be in this room, or your next 3 brides might be in this room. So
you
just
never know.
put on your fake face if you have to, and just serve these people the best you can, even if you are sick, having a bad day, personal issues, because when you walk into that room, there's so many people that you are maybe going to meet. So what you just said just nailed it on the head.
Well, and a lot of times there's so many couples that are already engaged that are there, but they haven't finished their planning yet.
Have you ever been to a wedding that like the bride or the groom or the bride and groom come up to you and they're like, hey, we're getting married and we're in the process of like looking for a wedding coordinator? Have you had that yet?
Yes, I have.
Isn't that such like a badass feeling?
It's
I'm
really
like,
great. So, honestly, my last inquiry was last week. I reached out to them today. They are so excited. They want to move forward. I'm so excited for them to become clients of mine. But I thought it was so hilarious. And this is what I told my husband after the meeting. He always asked me, how was it? You know,
Oh, I love
do you
that.
vibe with them? Like, are you going to have fun with them?
that is so important to be able to vibe.
I always tell all of my clients too, like a lot of the reasons why I do a face-to-face or a Zoom call beforehand, before I send you any type of contract, is solely, it's for both of us. For starters, one, I'm like, whoever you hire vendor wise is going to be around you pretty much your entire day
Especially
on
the
the
wedding
wedding.
coordinator.
Yeah. So
I feel
I'm
like
if
it's you and then it's the photographer.
So I'm like, if you are stressed out, which I will never take offense to that, because I understand that some personalities just don't mesh well with other personalities.
Correct.
There's no fault into that. It's just it is what it is. And so I essentially like to have my couples, I give them that opportunity to meet me, to make sure that I'm not too much, or I don't stress them out, or I'm not making them more anxious just in that 30-minute meet and greet, because I'm like, if that's the case, then I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to have a pleasurable wedding day. And so that's a big thing of mine is I want to make sure that everybody just vibes well. But before, I mean, we were even getting in like the nitty gritty details. The mom, it was with the bride and the mom. And I love when the moms jump on the calls. I love the moms. And she
Don't lie, Megan.
I really do. I really do. She was so sweet. She was like, my son is actually getting married also. And she like threw out the date. And I was like, I pulled it up. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not available that day. Like I'm actually out of town. I'm a guest that weekend. And she, the bride was like, oh, it's okay because so-and-so we know is going to be getting engaged soon. And so I'm sure, we'll be able to connect you with them too.
I love that.
Like before we even signed contracts or anything like that, they were already talking about how they were going to recommend me.
That's so
and
important.
So I was like,
Yeah.
that is, and it's like little things like that make my day. I'm like, that was so sweet of you. You didn't have to say anything nice like that. You
Yeah.
could have just been like, okay, cool. Thanks. Like, have a great night.
I love that.
But I was like,
It
always
feels
good
good
with me.
when it's so funny. It's always good when the bride's mom is you could take a drink. Cut. It is so cool whenever the bride's mom is so nice. It's like the heaviest weight off your shoulder, right? Because then okay, it's gonna be a good day. I mean, and vice versa. Sometimes the groom's mom can be a little particular, right?
Yes, there's
it's like their baby boy.
A handful of weddings where, and I know going in to the wedding, like because I can either pick it up very
you're with
soon
them at
on
the
dress
rehearsal, right?
I always go to the dress rehearsal, so I can usually pick it up very quickly. But to be completely honest, a lot of like their kids, a lot of the couples know if their parents are a lot. And so before we even like get into the process of even like
they give you that heads
what it
up.
looks like, they're like, hey, just let you know, like my mom can be a bit much, or hey, just let you know, like my dad can be a bit much. If it's an issue, let me know. But like it's never anything crazy.
So like, yeah, you get to deal with them like a day before, 2 days before their wedding. So we actually send them, I think you probably already know this, but we send them like a questionnaire that basically goes over like anything that we need to know for photo and video wise. And in that questionnaire, it says, is there any uncomfortable situation that we need to be aware of? And oftentimes it's, oh, my dad hates my mom or dislikes my mom because they're divorced. And honestly, on wedding days, we have realized that most of the time, 90% of the time, I will say, that they just put their,
Difference
beef aside.
See, that's
and then
like
they get through it.
That's a big thing for me where I'm like, come on. You're twice
paid
the
all
age.
this money.
You're twice the age of your son or daughter that's getting married, and you cannot stand side by side for literally less than 1 minute for a family picture. Like that's a big thing that I will kind of go over to, like especially if one of my couples, one of their parents are divorced. I talk about that before even going into family pictures. Okay, what do you want your family pictures to look like? Do you want a picture where it's everybody? Do you want step parents or maybe girlfriends or boyfriends in the picture with you? Do you want one with everybody, one without? Like, how do you want that to look? Because it is so uncomfortable on a wedding day when that isn't talked about, and then you get up to it and you have mom standing up and then sitting down, and then dad standing up and sitting down, and everybody's just uncomfortable by the situation because it's just the vibes are off.
Right.
I'm a big vibe person, and so anything like that we can talk about and plan before it even happens is best.
Yeah, it's so true. So tell me a little bit about what kind of experience do you give your clients when they hire you?
So,
What makes you like different?
This past weekend, I worked with a couple, Cassidy and Bauer. Shout out to them. I absolutely love them. They got married at Notting Hills this past weekend.
Beautiful.
And the photographer and videographers, they arrived at like between 10:30 and 10:45ish. By 12 o'clock, they were already asking me like, do you have a business card? Like they're like, the communication that you have right now is already incredible.
Notting Hills
at Notting Hills. And they're like, and we're only 2 hours into the wedding day. Like we're here till 11 o'clock at night, And I was like, thank you so much. Like it's important to have that communication. But what I told them is what you get from me day of is no different if you hire me as your wedding planner or if you hire me as your day of coordinator or your month of coordinator. The process leading up to your wedding day looks different,
Of course.
but the wedding day itself does not look any different. If something needs to get done, I'm going to do it. if I can help out a vendor, I'm going to do it. I'm a firm believer of you can learn something new every day. You just have to ask. You have to ask questions so that you can learn. I'm not a photographer. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a DJ. I'm not a caterer. I'm not a lot of things. But when I work with all of these people, I ask them questions. I get their feedback on things of like, hey, you know, going forward, like, what would you suggest to work better? Is there anything I can help you guys with? Do you want me to carry the cake to you guys? Do you want me to help cut and serve it?
Yeah, that's the one thing I did realize when we worked together that first, I think because that was Carly and David were, was that like our first legit wedding together?
Yeah, that was our first wedding together.
I noticed that you were like, hey, I'm here. Because you kind of have like the same kind of motto like Chloe does in a way. Like, hey, I'm here. And if you need anything, please don't hesitate to ask.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be like next to you 24/7 because I have my own things to do.
Everybody's
but
different.
You were so nice about it. And you made sure, one thing I do love too is you made sure that your photographer and videographer got served and we had a place to like sit even like away from everybody. And I loved that.
And I even tell my couples, like, it doesn't have to be like a guest table with your guests. You don't have to have centerpiece on it. You don't have to have fancy place settings. You don't have to have any of that for us. We just need like a spot where we can sit and eat for a few minutes. Hopefully not disturbed by guests too much, you know, a little bit off to the side, but still close enough that we can see what's going on. So if something happens, I'm there and I can facilitate that. And even like going through the timeline, especially, communication is huge. And so I tell my couples all the time, even if it's in our timeline that says we're going to start toast at 7:15, I'm like, it doesn't just start at 7:15. I said, I'm giving whoever's giving the toast, usually maid of honor, best man,
has to be mic'd up.
They have to be mic'd up. They have to have the lighting correct. If you guys do like the spot lighting, you guys have to get that set up. You have to get your camera settings all changed. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, because when you shoot, I said the last pictures that you probably were taken were during the day outside. And now you're transitioning into inside a venue with no light or, you know, low light, horrible
lighting.
I said, so it takes them,
Yeah.
it sometimes takes your photographers and your videographers 10 to 15 minutes just to get their stuff set up and ready to go.
And sometimes it's not even, we don't even get that time.
And yeah,
sometimes
and so
we get like, it's like real quick.
Come on, we're going. And see, and that's what I don't want to do. So that's like a big thing for me is I want to make sure everybody is prepared when the time comes.
But
and
that's
so
also important why you hire a professional
that is,
photographer.
yes.
Who knows how to adjust their lighting, because let me tell you, lighting is keen when it comes to photography.
Yes. There are definitely things that like I look for too when I work with vendors. I have a pretty extensive preferred vendor list just because if I work with you and you are a great person to be around and you provide excellent service and you communicate well and you made the couple happy, you're on my vendor list.
I love
you
that.
know, it doesn't take too much to not make it on the vendor list. There are definitely people that I've worked with that aren't on the list just for like little things that maybe, you know, I wouldn't want to recommend something if I feel like the couple may get upset by something.
And you might not have vibed with them either. And that's okay.
Right.
Just like you kind of said earlier, like there are going to be people and vendors that you don't vibe with. I have that. Me and Dylan have that today. Like we have vendors that we don't vibe with. And we're just like, all right, we just won't work with them again. And that's okay.
That's the thing. It's just, you
like,
gotta be professional about it.
Yeah. And I want to make sure, like, and I know you probably agree with this, but I want to make sure, like, when I go in on a wedding day, that I'm working and I'm not stressed myself. So like if I know a vendor and me don't really mesh, I want to make sure that I don't have to have that issue again.
Oh, completely understand.
You know, so like I totally agree with not having vendors on your list because I'm the same way.
Yeah, you don't mesh well with everybody. But it is nice when you leave a wedding, you're like, everybody was
that was my team. I
amazing.
love those wedding days.
And it's so cool when I get to like reuse people.
Oh, hey.
You know, I keep going back to them. For example, Rogue event and event design Rouge. Okay, I go back.
You're okay. The only
Rouge
reason
or
I
Rogue?
know that is because my dog's name is Rogue, and it's spelled Rogue.
And theirs has the U before.
Katie's is Rouge. Speaking of that, I need to actually get her on the podcast. I'm glad you mentioned her.
I went to school with Brittany Hackman.
I love
her
Brittany.
younger sister.
Yes.
We went to high school together.
Yes.
So when she had posted that they were starting their own floor company, I started following them.
Oh my gosh,
they were
so
another
you've
company.
been-
I started following them from start. I was
Wow.
like, oh, this is so cool. And I always thought like, how cool would it be to like work with somebody, you know, that from high school that you never would think like you would.
That's the
really
one thing I
work
love
with
about
again.
them is they're just so nice, and there's not a bad bone in Katie's body or
I
Brittany's
have
body.
referred so many
Same.
people to them. I
Yeah.
love them. I mean,
Shout
I'm
out
like,
to Rouge Floral
Yes,
Design.
Katie and Brittany, you guys are both amazing.
We love you. We both clearly refer you all the time. I just had a bride the other day. She reached out. She's like, "Who do you recommend?" I'm like, "Rouge Floral Design, Roses and Mint. Here you go." Let's
yeah,
go.
they're both on my list. They're both on my list. I like
love-
stems a lot
yes,
too.
but
But
like,
it's because it's the people. Like,
personality's everything.
they're so nice to work
Whether
with.
you're having a bad day or a good day, just
They help with setup.
Yeah.
Like I love people that are team players too. That's a big thing.
Oh, but yeah, because you do work a lot with the florist.
And
for
I never
sure.
want to overstep. Like that's the one concern that I have all the time in my head is like I want to be there to help, but I don't want to overstep.
Love that.
You know, another little thing that I do for all of my couples is I take pictures and videos all throughout the day.
So you're necessarily more like you're the content creator in a way.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I have been telling my couples, I'm like, I don't advertise myself
Yeah.
that way, but a big thing when Tommy and I, when we woke up after our wedding day, we were tagged and we were sent so many things, on so many different text platforms, all of that good stuff. So we've spent like the first hour and a half of that morning just reminiscing through last night and seeing all these videos and seeing all these things that kind of slipped our memory, or we were like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize that was captured.
And
or
it's
like
so crazy that you say that because content creating and the content creating that people are hiring nowadays, along with videographers, is being so big. So
huge.
as a business proposition to give you, you could easily hire somebody to work as an added package.
to
and
add
do
on to that.
yeah.
I definitely could.
You should look into that for sure.
So everything that I use, and it is in my contract, it's a disclaimer. Like I take a bunch of stuff all throughout the day, but I get to use all of those things for making reels or making posts, things like that.
Yeah, because that's that whole day is part of your business.
And I can tell too, based on the couples, like if they're comfortable with me being able to post anything and everything from the day, or I can also tell if they're more comfortable with decor and setup, but they don't really want like their faces or their guest faces. And I'm totally okay with that as well.
With weddings that are like that, because that is actually
Yes.
becoming a thing. And it does kind of make me a little like ick, because it's like, hey, this is what we were branded on, to share the pictures that we absolutely adore. So when you take that away from us creatives, it sucks.
It's a little hard.
I have friends in this industry that have to sign NDAs because they can't share any of their pictures. Multiple photographers.
That would be so tough.
And they can't even share the details.
Right.
And it's like, what? So if you're getting this bomb ass wedding that you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to match my brand cohesively, the colors, everything, and you can't post a single picture.
It's hard.
It sucks.
The other thing that I found is tough is I may not agree, or maybe it's not my favorite, like the lighting style, or like maybe they're more dark and moody, or they're more bohemian. Personally, I'm more of a bright and airy fan, so if I recommend people, it's more often than not towards that bright and airy effect,
because it's your brand.
because that's more me. That's more what I want to post. However, I always ask my couples, like, send me things that you like, before we even before we even reach out to photographers. What pictures do you have saved that you're like, okay, I really like these and these? And then based on that, I can match up, okay, this is more of a bohemian, this is more dark, this one's more moody, this one's more bright and airy, this is definitely more film, like editorial.
I love how you
and then
know
from
all
there,
that, though.
I match people. So I have people that fit all of those different categories essentially on my preferred vendor list, but the things that I want to post personally on my page are the more bright and airy, because that's, like you said, that's more my brand.
That's your brand.
More my vibe, my style that I'm going for. So that is a little tough, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, this is exactly, I literally will have my entire feed your wedding, but it's just not the edit style doesn't pair well with what I'm doing. So I still use those, but that's more like
You can always just post them in your stories, your reels and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, and most people understand that. I mean, everybody has their own brand, and you have to match that brand cohesive. There's sometimes when I look, like yesterday, I was scrolling through my Instagram and I was like nitpicking, of course, but I was like, these 3 rows don't really match that well. But I was like, you know what, fuck it. I was like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter,
It's I never realized how much, and it's crazy because like in high school and in college, I loved social media. Oh my
course.
gosh, was I on it all the time? It was like, okay, we're
Yeah.
going somewhere. We have to take a picture so I can post it. How am I going to edit it?
You
What am
gotta
I
make
gonna
your
do?
Facebook status.
That's exactly it. I'd bring all my girlfriends to be like, okay, tell me how to pose. Like, hype me up. What am I doing? And now
How old
I'm
are
like
you?
27, turning 28, and 27,
You know,
turning
think of-
28. After 22, when people are like, oh, after 22, you stop counting. I was like, how do you not count? But then I'm like, oh, wow,
I count
really?
every year because I'm like, oh, I'm getting older.
I am excited for my 29 year because that's my Schmitty year. 29. The New Girl. If you watch New Girl.
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, I love
I'm a reality show junkie, like Kardashians, Teen Mom. Like I still watch all the Teen Moms.
See, I'm not a huge reality, but I like
It's
all
bad.
the sitcoms.
It's
I like
trash.
all the comedy sitcoms that you're just like, really?
Yeah.
But he has a birthday. It's his 29th birthday. And at one point he's just like, 29?
Okay. This
29? And I'm like, I have to have, like, the whole episode was his birthday party. And, like, the
So it's
whole-
my birthday.
I have
Right
to
now.
have my 29th birthday.
Right now.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Schmidt. I'm 29, folks. What's up? 29? 29? Can you please not tell anybody I just did that? That feels embarrassing.
So tell me a little bit. So you're not even 30 yet. Like I turned 30
No.
this year, and I'm like, new decade, baby. New decade. Like, where am I going to be in the next
Where
10
am I
years?
gonna go?
What do I want to do in the next 10 years? So we're going to be wrapping up very soon because it's 2:00 now and I have to jump on a phone call soon. But tell me the difference between like wedding coordinating and like design, because those two are different.
They are
And could they
different.
hire you just for design?
Yes, technically they could hire me just for design. I do put it out there. I don't have like the interior design background. So when I'm helping you with design, it's more tablescape, like layout, floor layout. How many people can you fit per table? Do you want chargers on the table? Because if you don't want chargers, you can fit 10. If you want chargers, I max those out at 8. So it's little things like that I'll help them with. And then mainly when I talk design with my clients, my couples, it's mainly decor. So tablescape, what do you like? What do you not like? What's the vibe that you're going for? When you walk in, what do you want guests to feel? What do you want them to think? What do you want them, you know what I mean? Those all kind of play a huge part into what I'm going to recommend. You know, do you want more of like that gardeny romance? Because that's definitely more flowers. Do you want more of like a classic elegant look? Because that's going to be more black and white flowers with candles. Are you not a huge flower person and you just strictly love candles? Like some people are huge into ambiance and they just want candles everywhere. I love candles, so I'm a firm believer of there's never too many candles.
It looks so pretty.
It
I
does.
love
It makes it
Like, I
literally
love it.
elevates every space. And
It
so,
does.
when I meet with my couples, I do have a pretty heavy like decor inventory on my end that I rent
Wow.
out to couples. So when we go in to do our final details meeting, we're talking about decor. If there's certain things that you're saying that I know I have that will fit that, I will go home and I will create almost like a second proposal to send your way with pictures and the price obviously to rent them. So you can be like, okay, actually, yeah, I'm just going to rent all of those through you. I add it onto your invoice and it's kind of like a one-stop shop. Which is great because I have so many things that are geared towards different kinds of weddings. But I would say the number one thing that I recommend my couples to add are candles, like the little votive candles,
Looks so good.
because the flowers look good on them, on their own. But
As long as they're real.
yes, but when you add candles, ooh, you just
It
elevate
just,
the
like, spices
space
it up to be classic and timeless.
every time.
And I love the different like tiers of candles too, when it's like small, medium, large.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when sometimes it can be sketchy though, like when they're in the aisles. But
Yeah, the aisles are a
it.
little tricky,
Yeah.
especially if they're glass.
I've seen them knocked over.
that
so
is
many
a big
times, but it
thing. I
looks
tell
so
my couples,
pretty.
like they look pretty, but maybe not the whole
Just
aisle, and
depends on the
leave
aisle.
gaps. Like leave a little gap for people to walk
I've seen
through.
so many people, and it's not trying
Because
to, like,
glass
yeah.
shatters, and like imagine right before you walk down the aisle with your lace dress, there's shattered glass all over the floor. You're gonna cut your
exactly.
wedding dress up.
Now,
you
if
know?
there's a big aisle, maybe.
It works a little bit,
Yeah.
or if they can get in through the side. But like if they don't
Yeah.
have that outside space too to get in, if they can only really get in from the center part of the aisle, then you're asking them to step over just tons of glass.
So speaking of design and stuff, what wedding trends this year are you like loving?
Oh, the color. Oh my gosh,
Same.
the color.
It's
Ugh.
like so vibrant this past.
Yes.
Did you see the flowers I posted from from Saturday's wedding?
Yes.
Brie and Andrew's wedding. Aren't those flowers? That
are
florist was
stunning.
from Kentucky, which I had no idea.
I swear this is all because of what is it? The Netflix show. Why can't I remember it?
It's not Selling Sunset.
No. Bridgerton. Bridgerton,
Oh,
like
I couldn't get
like
into
the
it.
picture.
Yes,
so I love
couldn't-
Bridgerton.
Yeah.
But even the couples that aren't doing like the big extravagant things that you saw at Bridgerton, it's the same like color
Vibe.
schemes. It's all garden. Like the garden pastels this year is huge. I have a couple weddings that are doing like more garden with like a few
Our
vibrant
tea
colors
party.
of
Like I'm
pop.
seeing some of those too.
Yes.
It kind of helps us with having a bridal shop because we get to know the trends that are going to be next season.
Yes.
So like we already have our
all
dresses.
those glasses too.
Yes. We literally already have our dresses picked out for spring. Yeah, we're going into spring. I got to think about it. We're like a couple months ahead.
That's so exciting though.
We already know the trends that are going to be happening in the next couple months. So that's what's so fun because we see them when we go to market. We see like the vibes and everything. And it's just so cool to see it unfold. And sometimes
yeah.
like the dresses that we just got for like our fall collection, the dresses will be popular in a few months.
Well,
sometimes.
it's crazy to think too that like watching reels for me now is work. Like
Isn't that crazy?
Everything that all of the accounts that I follow, 98% of the reels that are on my page are
Ideas,
wedding
save it.
related. Yeah, they're all
Yeah.
from different photographers or videographers or planners or venues, and they're all these different cool things. I save them, I take mental notes of them, and then when people ask me about them, like for example, I saw this really cool TikTok. They did like a guest painting canvas. So they had their wedding colors, and they had a big just blank canvas, and each guest did one stroke. You could do whatever you wanted, but you did one stroke and you got to pick your color. And by the end of it, it looked like a canvas you would pay
so like
hundreds of dollars
basically
for.
are they like labeled by numbers pretty much? Is that
No,
how that
it's
works?
literally just it was just a blank canvas, and they had like 5 different styles of brushes. You just picked up a brush, you dunked it in the paint can, and you just painted a
so
line.
it's already like, but their faces and they're already sketched out.
No, there's no faces. It was like an abstract work of
It's
art.
like an abstract.
Yeah,
so it's not like a cartoon.
Yeah,
or
no,
anything.
like an
Okay.
abstract work of art. It was strictly just a blank canvas, and like most of the people did like a line, like a
Oh, yeah,
horizontal or
that's
diagonal
so
line. But there
cool.
were a few people that did like zigzags or like swirlies. But by the end of it, it looked so cool, and they hung that up.
Well,
and
you
they're
know
on
my
their
favorite
wall.
guest book idea.
Yes, I love that
It's
guest
and
book.
me
I've
and
recommended
Dylan-
that several
Thank
people.
you.
I absolutely love the audio guest
I don't
book.
think it's ever gonna go away. Truly.
No, I think that would be something cool. Like people are always like the written book is still timeless and you still want that.
For sure.
But you could definitely pair that with the audio. Like I think that's so cool.
We have an option to add on a record.
Oh,
We
I
have
love
our
that.
client this past weekend has a record. So they added that on and I said, I don't know the turnaround time for sure because you're our first client with this, but the audio guest book is just, it's taken off.
I had a couple
And I love it.
who got married at the Ritz, and they did an audio guest book that they turned into a vinyl. And I
Yes.
just thought that was so cool.
It's
'cause
just
they were
so
big music
fun.
people, and they can just play it every year on their anniversary.
Yeah. And we can also use audio for video. So
That's
if like
amazing.
grandma or somebody leaves like a message and it's just so pretty.
You put that in the video.
That's
Oh my
actually
gosh,
what made us
that's so sweet.
start this business.
It's honestly
Nothing-
about how you can pivot and create something better. So, I mean, I just started off doing day of coordination, month of coordination. From there, I added on
What can
wedding
you add on?
planning. And once I started adding, I mean, the last year I opened up wedding planning. I said I was going to take 2 because I'm still working a full-time schedule. I still had 13 other weddings on top
and
of
you
that.
still have your full-time
And I
job.
still have a full-time job. I just don't have enough time in the evenings from 4 to 9 p.m. to schedule all of the venue tours and all of those meetings with multiple people all at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I really want to touch on before we wrap up, I love that you know that you do have to work full-time for just a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer.
Because some people will jump into these like jobs such as photo or video and they think that they're going to get rich quick.
Well, and I
It's
also,
not
my
like
pricing
that.
wasn't geared toward that. So,
Yeah.
and even my husband, when I first started, he was like, I think your pricing's a little low. And I'm like, you're
That's
right.
how it-
I said,
but-
you're right. It is.
Yeah.
I know it is, but I'm doing that on purpose because
Correct. Good
I'm
job.
going to go low for the first couple. Once I gain the experience and I know what I'm doing more and I have a
Yes.
better, my system is better in place. And then I'm going to increase my price a little
Yes,
bit.
and that's how it is for
Yeah.
every one of us. Don't let
I
that.
would say I finally increased my pricing within like this past year, and I'm
love
hoping
that.
that like with this pricing in place, I purposely didn't put book my 2024s as early as I would have liked to, because I didn't have my pricing set up yet. And so now that I have that set up, I'm booking 2024 like crazy. It's a little bit later than necessarily what I would have wanted. But now everything next year, all of the revenue that I'm coming into next year is going to be able to help me go full time by May.
For sure.
So,
and you
it's
just have
just a
to
work
keep
of art.
and then you just have to keep posting, showing things that you love, get out there.
Well, and then once
maybe
I
do
go
some
full
style
time,
shoots.
Once you go full time too, you can do so much more.
Oh, I know.
And so,
And then you start being crazy like us, and then you have no time.
so I did tell my husband, I'll especially like May and like October, like I told him those are going to be the 2 months every year that I probably have 3 to 4 weddings.
May was crazy this year.
I've already had, I told you there was one weekend next year that I'm out of town. It's May 18th. I've already had 5 couples ask me
Isn't that
about
crazy?
that weekend.
I really,
and I'm just
truly
like,
feel
there's
like
always one weekend in May and one weekend in October that are like the primary, and I always fill rest of them in.
Yeah.
But my hardest months to book are like the winter, like January, February.
we have no weddings in January 2024.
Yeah,
and I'm
January-
okay with that. We just talked and we said, I think 2024 January, we're just going to take off the entire month.
Which is so
And
nice
if we
when you can do that.
If we need to pick up one wedding because, we have bills to pay, obviously, we'll do it. But I'm really blessed because the bridal shop, we're going to be in the red for a couple of years, obviously, because it's a brand new business.
Right.
But the bridal shop, that's that busy time. So I'm going to take the money that we make with bridal shop, use that for that bills. And then for January, I'm going to really use that as a month where we distress, breathe, do everything that we need to do to get prep for the
Yeah.
2024 season.
I mean, you need a month. And so
Yeah.
I've always
Do you know what
taken
I've been
July.
starting to do this year? Maybe this will help you.
What?
So this week actually, because we leave for Mexico next week, we take a week every single month. We block it off. In that week, we don't take any sessions. So we don't do any sessions. We don't do family nothing, and we edit and we focus on what we need to do.
I love that.
Because what I've realized in the past is taking on these extra sessions, all these engagements at once, is too much. It's filling my cup way too much.
Yeah, I got
And
into the point
blocking it
where
off.
I filled my cup up a lot last
Everybody
year.
in this industry does it.
Well, I also last year was like that was when I went
Your
from
first
3 to
year.
15. So that was
Yeah.
like my first full year.
Exactly.
And if I had your date open in my calendar, I booked it. Like I didn't even
course.
think about it. I'm like,
part
why
of
not?
growing.
Let's do it. And then August came around and I looked at my calendar and I was like, holy shit. I had, out of the 15 weddings that I had for that year, I had 9 of them within like a 2-month, 2.5 month period.
Yes.
It was literally,
Uh-huh.
I had 9 weeks back to back. And mind you, I still work full time. I still have a full-time job and I'm required to work 1 weekend a month with them.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
there was 2 weeks that I literally worked. Like I would go in on Sunday because I obviously couldn't work Saturday. And so I'd go in Sunday and then I'd work Monday through Friday with them. I'd have a wedding on Saturday. And it would
So
go
you had
and
no
go
time
and
off.
go. So I physically had no time off. And so that's where like I learned,
a breaking
I
point.
pivoted. I learned from that. I learned, I pivoted. And now this year I still have the exact same amount. I still have 15, but they're spread out
Yes.
enough that I'm not stressed. Like
I
had 2 this month. I have 2 September. I have 2 October. I have 1 November. Like it's spaced out enough that I can still breathe and I can still do
Yeah.
other things.
I truly believe that it's good to have like a breaking point because it shows you where that's like, I feel like a way of being told like, hey, you need to slow
I'm
down.
done. Yeah.
This is what you
July's-
need to do.
July has always been my month. Like you said, January is your month. July is my month. I'm like,
hot.
this is my month. I'm going to enjoy summer. I'm going to do what I want. It's also like I spend that time doing like my venue tours, venue walkthroughs. Like I do all of that
Yeah,
for
you
rest
did.
of
I
the
saw
year.
you posting all your stuff last month,
Yeah.
meeting and doing all these
I
like
try to do
networking events.
all of that so
Awesome.
that when I go into this busy season, it's strictly like a quick final details. I'll reach out to your vendors and then we're good to go.
I
Like
love that.
all of the meetings, all of the walkthroughs, all of that. It's already taken
I
place,
love that.
which is really nice.
So tell me the best advice you have ever received, whether it's wedding related or not. What is the best advice that you use today?
That I would say you never make a mistake. You never make a mistake. You just learn and you pivot. That has been a huge thing because I am just a very anxious person. And so I never want to make a mistake, especially when it's somebody's wedding day. Like when you make a mistake on somebody's wedding day, that's a lasting impact. And so I tell myself, you never make a mistake. You learn and you pivot. It's all about how you end the day. You know, how did you fix the situations? How did you get through it? That's a big piece of advice. And honestly, just breathe. Like, there are so many times where I work myself up and I'm like, I'm not breathing. That's why I'm working myself up, you know? And I just kind of go in a corner, I go in a space, take a couple deep breaths, and then I ground myself and I'm like, all right, time to get it, you know, time to get it and go. Let's do it.
Yes, I love it. I am myself a very anxious person, so I can definitely relate to all that. Well, Megan, where can they find you on Facebook and Instagram?
You can find me at Events by Megan LLC. And I actually, as of 2 or 3 weeks ago, I finally have my own domain. So my website is www.eventsbymeganllc.com.
Heck yeah,
Woo-woo.
congratulations. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We
Thank
just
you.
adore you and love working with you so
This
much.
is so fun.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much for listening, friends, and have a good day. Peace.